I know some of us had the Christian religion crammed down our throats from a very young age, and we've sort of rebelled in the New Age stuff. But everything Ernest Holmes, who was like one of the greatest teachers ever in spirituality, he based his philosophy on the teachings of Jesus Christ. And it's vital. Palm Sunday. This was a great day for Christ. This was his triumphant return to Jerusalem. He had been wandering through Judea for years, just talking about his philosophy of peace and spirit within. And he knew going into Jerusalem that it was a hostile environment. The spiritual leaders of the time wanted him gone. He was not doctrine. So the palm leaf, the relevance of the palm leaf, Jerusalem was a city in ancient times, and they had no sewer system. None of them did. They just threw it in the street. They had chamber pots, basically, and it went out the window, and it went out the door, and it went down the middle of the street. So the honor of the palm trees, when he rode into Jerusalem with his disciples walking with him, they threw the palms down in front of him so that he wouldn't be walking in the sewage. And that was the significance of the palms. Still probably stunk like cities in ancient times. But at least, he had the palms down there. The crowds lined the way on both sides of the street. He had become quite famous, and most of those people in those crowds didn't even know anything about him or what he said. It was all secondhand. They'd heard, and the young people, they heard that, it was this revolutionary thing, and they wanted a real revolution. They were living under the yoke of Rome, and they wanted physical violence. Well, that's not Jesus, so they were disappointed. But his spiritual revolution, we experience that today. This world we live in wouldn't have been possible without it. And even though they were cheering him and everything as he came through, many of them had no idea what it was all about. And within 3 days, the same people were cheering for his death, a harsh death too, not an easy one. So, but that actual, and he knew going in, he was coming into trouble. And he had a message, and he had to deliver it at his own cost. And he was truly a revolutionary. Okay, enough Palm Sunday. Just lighten things up. There's a new minister at the church, and his going through his papers and stuff, and he finds a letter from the previous minister and some envelopes, and he's reading the letter, and it says, eventually, everything's good now, but eventually you're going to run into times of crisis, and when you do, the letters are numbered, and you can open them in order. So he's there for a couple of years, everything's beautiful, and then he starts having issues with the board and the congregation, and so he opens the first letter, And the first letter says, well, you're probably having problems. So just blame it on me. I'm gone, I'm in another place, I'm doing really well. So you don't have to worry about it, blame everything on me. So he says, okay, and he blames everything on the previous minister. Things get good, it goes on for a few months, but then it starts getting tacky again. So he opens the second letter. And the second letter says, well, I realize things are probably getting tacky by now, so blame everything on the congregation. They're wealthy, they can afford it, it won't be a problem. And he's a little shaky on that one, but he gives it a try and it works. Everything gets good again, and this goes on for a few more months, but then the board is unsatisfied with him and the congregation is unsatisfied. So he opens the third letter and it says, prepare 3 letters. So that's a little lighter. But now to the science of mind. I love this book. And being able to do these talks has changed my whole perspective on the book, because I had to get another book. I have the one that was my mom's that I just read, and I have one that I do talks that I underline and outline and everything. It's given me such a different perspective when I have to look at it this way. But this is a conclusion of the section of the book on spiritual healing. And this whole front part of the book is basically defining the science of mind. And this last section was totally on giving effective prayer treatments, spiritual perfection, physical perfection. Okay, God's all there is. That includes us. God, there's no flaws in God. God is perfect. So how can we be anything else? When we go through, this is physical universe, we have bodies that are made out of this physical universe. And like everything else, they get old. Things don't always function right. But we don't have to live in that. We don't have to live in that suffering. We may have to experience pain, but we don't have to suffer. So I've got a series of his quotes, and we'll just do some of that. Since the law of God is infinite, from the spiritual viewpoint, there is no incurable disease as opposed to a curable one. Don't listen to the negative stuff. We get lost in it so easily. We just, when I was looking for quotes from other people about physical perfection, there weren't any. We're going all through the internet, nothing. It's all the great thinkers think this is impossible, but it's already there. It can't be anything else because it's all God. But, you know, there were tons of quotes on spiritual perfection, but physical, no, can't be possible. But it's already happened. We are living miracles, each one of us. We are born of God's substance. We can't be anything else. You know, my hair stands on end. I get really excited about this stuff. Okay, to affirm the presence of God is better than to deny the presence of evil. evil. When I'm doing prayer treatments, we all say, I'm going to put you in my prayers, when somebody's going through some stuff. And we want those prayers to have an effect. And part of a prayer treatment can be denying the presence of evil. That's in the 7-step prayers, that's one of the things you do. But in the 5-step prayers, you don't. You just affirm the positive. And that actually contains more power. It always does, because God is good. That negative stuff doesn't have to exist in your life. Okay, back to Ernest. A practitioner should think of his patient as a perfect entity, living in a perfect universe, surrounded by perfect situations and governed by perfect law. Because that's the reality. We can put so much crap between us and that reality of spiritual perfection. It's one of the things we do as human beings. And it's what contributes to the negative and the suffering in our lives. And you can, I should keep this personal. I can go through and do pain on a regular basis, but I don't have to suffer. It's just part of my life, and I don't have to let it affect the way I relate with other spiritual beings, you, my animals, my wife, which is always the biggest challenge in anybody's life, their wife or their husband. So I don't have to let that pain influence my relationships with reality. It doesn't go away, it's just part of what I have to deal with. And I don't know, maybe it's karmic, who knows? I don't worry about it. Most of the time, I don't, it's like so low grade that I don't even think about it. Let's see. There is no room for doubt in a treatment. This is where we all, you're dying of stage 4 cancer. I mean, how can I not doubt, that anything I say is going to make a difference? Well, that's not the point. The point is to realize the presence of the divine right there, right in that situation. That's our job as a practitioner or someone giving prayer. You don't have to be a practitioner. You can help people just by affirming that presence of God. And that's your job. When you say, I'm going to pray for you, you need to know that God is there and God is working, because God is there and God is working. And Danielle said it, you either believe or you don't believe. If you don't believe, I'm really sorry. Because it's a heck of a hard road, Okay, back to Ernest. The truth is that there is but one power, and that power knows only perfection. You cannot heal anyone of his trouble if it is the result of some mental attitude which he will not surrender. In that, it's not our job to change people, but it is through enlightening that people change. And as long as we're affirming that spiritual perfection and that lives within the individual, we are actually contributing to that enlightenment and the possibility of change. And, like go back to the dire circumstances, it's not our job to change the circumstance. We just change that realization of spirit within. As long as we can do that, the circumstance will change. Let's see. Yeah, and if if somebody just knows that this is the way it is and they're gonna go on that way, you can't do anything about it. Just pray that God's there and God's working with them. Okay, the treatment should be repeated daily until a healing takes place. This one was hard for me. I was thinking, okay, I've done the treatment, God's there, they should heal. That's it, right there. It should be happening, especially with the continual pain, But that's not my job. It's so hard to get that through my head. My job is just to realize that spiritual presence, because it will do anything. There's no bad when God is in the picture. It can't be. So, you might have to do the same treatment again and again. And I might have to do it several times and tweak it to change my outlook. Because as soon as I look at the person that I'm treating as flawed, I've lost it. It's gone. It won't work. I have to see that spiritual perfection in that treatment, in that person. So, we all want our prayers to work. And as long as we're not there, they aren't going to work. We have to know it's Spirit does it. We're just there to focus it, and it has to work because Spirit does it. When we can get there, then things start really clicking. Man, things get good. All right, my last quote of Ernest Holmes. It is not enough to say that everything is all right. This is true in principle, but in fact, in human experiences, it is only as true as we make it. Treat until you get results. The healing takes place when the patient is no longer sick, and until such time, mental work should be done. We go for it, and if it doesn't work, don't give up. That's pretty much it on that chapter. It's such a gift, this philosophy. So much changed my life. When I first learned that physically I was going to have pain basically for the rest of my life, and it isn't continual, thank God, and it isn't always really bad, but when I first learned that, oh my God, I was a sulking, mean-spirited, why me kind of person. And this has lifted me out of that particular hell and given me a heaven within that I can manifest around me. And what more can anyone ask for from a philosophy? That just totally made my life wonderful. So that's pretty much it. I think we should do a little meditation before. And oh, the last half of that chapter, Ernest Holmes has treatments for all these different illnesses. It's a huge chapter, it's like at least 50 pages. And he ended it with a treatment for peace of mind. And I was going to do that treatment, but I changed my mind. It's very long. It's a long treatment, and you can go to the book and you can do it yourself. So, but I thought we would do a short kind of mindfulness meditation, because the one of the secrets of treatment is it's not going to happen. It didn't happen before. It's happening right now. And that's what mindfulness is all about. It's about being in the presence. So, get comfortable, feet on the floor, deep breaths, and when you take that deep breath in, take it slowly, and just think, God is. And then hold it for a few seconds, and during those few seconds that you hold it, just kind of feel the room, feel the presence of the room. And then when you exhale, think, and exhale slowly, I am. So, deep breaths, God is. And then exhale, I am. I've been reading a lot about mindfulness lately. And in the treatment of autism, and it's amazing the results these people are getting. And also dogs. I was at the wolf walk yesterday, and there was, I don't know, 200, maybe more, happy dogs. It was bliss. I cannot even describe it. It was so wonderful. And just like mindfulness, dogs are always right there in the moment. And they do amazing things with therapy dogs and autism too. You know, bringing these children out, and even adults out of these self-imposed shells that they have constructed in their defense over years. So, yeah, that was way cool. Next year, go to the wolf walk. It was so cool. All right, that's all I've got. Thank you very much.